Hello, my friends. Poetry changes lives today. I want to talk about a very remarkable poet who was also an English saint in the 19th century. That's highly unusual. In fact, I can't think of another poet who was an English saint before before that until we go back to the 16th century, I would say, someone like Thomas Campion, and of course, way back in time, in medieval times, there were saints like Bede, who, could be said to be poets as well. But this person I'm talking about, John Henry Newman, had a remarkable life. He was always extremely spiritual, but he was born into a well-to-do Protestant family in London and became, when he grew up, a academic and a Church of England priest. He was initially influenced by Calvinism, but then by the Church of England, and remarkably, at the age of, I think, 49, he became a Roman Catholic and later a Roman Catholic priest, and rose remarkably, partly because I think of his academic excellence. He rose to the rank of cardinal and, of course, exerted considerable influence on the Catholic Church in this country, in England, as a result. He wrote many wonderful works of meditation and thought, academic works on Christianity, but he was also a wonderful poet and writer of um, uh, work, hymns, poems that were later to become hymns because they were set to music. He wasn't a musician himself, but he wrote remarkable poems that lend themselves to being hymns as well. And I want to give you an example of perhaps his most famous poem, hymn, as it later became uh, Lead Kindly Light, which Newman wrote when he was on his travels. He was, I think, in Sicily, and he wanted to get back to this country, to England. I think he was feeling he needed medical attention. He was quite unwell, and he was waiting for a ship. And I think on his journey, I think he eventually found a ship to take him from Sicily to Marseille in south of France. And on that voyage, when the weather at times was quite rough and he found himself in storms at sea, he wrote this wonderful poem, Lead Kindly Light. It was originally called, I think, The Pillars of the Clouds, but it was set to music about 20 years later, and it's a very popular hymn even today. It's been much used for inspiration on many occasions since it was written in the late 19th century. And I think it's wonderful. I'm going to read it now as a poem. Lead kindly light, this is. Lead kindly light amid the encircling gloom. Lead thou me on. The night is dark, and I am far from home. Lead thou me on. Keep thou my feet. I do not ask to see the distant scene. One step enough for me. I was not forever thus, nor prayed that thou shouldst lead me on. I loved to choose and see my path, but now lead thou me on. I loved the garish day, and spite of fears, pride ruled my will. Remember not past years. So long thy power hath blessed me, sure it still will lead me on, o'er moor and fen, o'er crag and torrent, till the night is gone. And with the morn these angels' faces smile, which I have long loved long since, and lost a while. I think that's amazing. Beautiful poetry. Newman died, I think, in the year 1990. He lived a large part of his life in the Midlands and around Birmingham. He was also at Oxford for a number of years, but he started his life in London. He lived as a child for a few years in southwest London in the parish of Ham, which is close to Richmond on Thames. His house, Grey Court House, is still standing and is now a school. Newman, I think, is remarkable for his. He wasn't just a scholar and a churchman, but he actually put his beliefs into action. He was notable in one of the founders of the Oxford movement, which was a well-known early 20th century, late 19th, a gathering of academic Christians who wanted to give some power back to Christianity and spirituality. I'm going to read another short poem of his called A Meditation, which shows his sort of simplicity and sincerity, I think. I love this. It's just called A Meditation. Here it is. God has created me to do him some definite service. He has committed some work to me which he has not committed to another. I am a link in a chain, a bond of connection between persons. He has not created me for naught. I shall do good. I shall do his work. I think that's a remarkable, simple, sincere statement. And cardinals are sometimes a bit perhaps one might dare to say in history, cardinals have been sometimes quite proud men, but Newman seems to have retained his simplicity and sincerity. I like this poem of his. This is the last one I'm going to read. It's called Sensitiveness. Time was I shrank from what was right, from fear of what was wrong. I would not brave the sacred fight, because the foe was strong. But now I cast that finer sense and sorer shame aside. Such dread of sin was indolence, such aim at heaven was pride. So when my Saviour calls, I rise and calmly do my best, leaving to him with silent eyes of hope and fear the rest. I step, I mount where he has led. Men count my haltings o'er. I know them yet, though self I dread. I love his precept more. Once again, just the shining sincerity and simplicity of the man, to me, comes through. I think he must have been a remarkable person, a remarkable influence for good in his time. And I love this legacy that he has left to us of his beautiful poetry, which people coming after him have admired and felt it necessary to create music to enhance, and some very, very beautiful hymns, such as Lead Kindly Light, we have as part of his legacy. John Henry Newman. I really recommend you look at his poetry. Thanks for listening today.